Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm filming here with a little guest today, which I guess that's cool because this video is kind of about you. So yes, as you can tell from the title, I'm doing something that's a little different. I wanted to kind of start doing some more mommy related material here on my channel, just because I am a mom. A lot of my subscribers are moms and stuff like that, or soon to be, and this I think is a topic that, you know, is really becoming very popular within the past few years. And I just think it's so important that a lot of women sometimes go into pregnancy and you know, they have ideas about breastfeeding, but they're not really sure. They don't have like the most accurate information, and they just want some more information on it. And so with this video, I'm just going to kind of be going over some things that I kind of wish I would have known going into breastfeeding, which is a-okay. I still had wonderful experiences with breastfeeding both my kids, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys some tips, or you know, things coming from my experience, advice that I would give to someone who is considering breastfeeding. So these are some things, some tips that I feel like every mommy should know if you're considering breastfeeding, or you are breastfeeding, or starting out, or anything like that. I did breastfeed both my children. I'm still currently breastfeeding this one here. He is 9 months as of yesterday. And with my daughter, I was able to breastfeed her until she was 9 months old, and then that was barely it because I had to end up supplementing a lot with her, which I will get into all that here in the video. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started for you guys. So my first tip whenever it comes to breastfeeding is to be patient. Whenever you first have your baby, some women are lucky enough to have their milk come in a few weeks or so before they have their child. It comes in a little earlier, but for some women, most women only have colostrum whenever they first give birth to their child. From what I was told in the hospital, that is all your baby needs for the first few days of life, is that little bit of colostrum. They say it's enough to coat just, you know, their little bitty tummies, and it is okay. So that's the biggest thing I would say, is to definitely be patient. Don't stress it. For me, with both my children, it took, I think, at least 2 or 3 days for my actual milk to come in. And it's just really important not to stress about it. It may seem like your child is starving, like they're hungry. I know my daughter, she went crazy like the second day, and I was just like, I don't have enough milk. And they kept reassuring me like she is getting what she needs, she's okay, until your full milk flow comes in. So just be patient about it. Actually stressing and having a lot of worry going on, putting that stress on your body will actually help to slow your milk production, which will postpone it from coming in actually a little faster than it should. So another thing I really want to stress is definitely take advantage of the lactation consultants that are available there in a hospital when you have your child. A lot of the hospital that I had my baby at, well, my daughter, every nurse that I had, they all breastfed their children, so they all had really great advice. So it's like I almost didn't need the lactation consultant. There was one available, but the nurses just gave me such great advice in the first place. They helped me find a comfortable hold for me and my child. They also helped to get her to latch on a little better. She wasn't latching on very well at first, so that was something that they worked with me on each time they would come in for her feeding, just making sure that she was latching on properly, because the latch is very important. That's my next tip, is make sure that your child is latching on. Very important, is latching on properly, because that not only is that going to help with your breast milk flow coming in properly and your production, but it's also going to help to take the pain away from your nipples. Now, not saying that you're not going to have any pain with your nipples. It's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. My first experience, my first like maybe 2 to 3 weeks of breastfeeding was extremely painful. I would definitely say you need some nipple cream. You definitely want to have some nipple cream, and they do have nipple creams that are, buddy, can I talk? And they do have nipple creams that are safe for the baby to put in their mouth. So it's safe for their, like, not consumption, but it's okay if you have it on there and you need to feed. It's not going to hurt your child. So definitely take advantage of that because they will crack, they will bleed. I had it all. Now with my son, I don't know if it's because I had my kids kind of close together. They're approximately like 2 years apart. But for him, like, I had like a little bit of pain at first, but I didn't have like any major cracking, bleeding. I don't know, like my nipples, they were like kind of fine. It was just like a little painful at first, like the first couple days, but then after that I was like a-okay. And I don't know if it's because my nipples were still like toughened up from having my daughter or what, breastfeeding her. I don't know what it is, but they were like, it wasn't that bad with him. So not saying that everyone's gonna have that experience, but just for that. But yeah, I think it took me at least about 2 to 3 weeks for my nipples to kind of toughen up with the breastfeeding and get adjusted to it and accustomed to it. And then after that, it was like no problem. I had like no pain or irritation or anything like that afterwards. But the nipple cream definitely helped to soothe and make things feel a lot better. So definitely get you some nipple cream if you plan on breastfeeding, especially if it's your first time around. The next thing is you want to make sure that you are fully equipped for your breastfeeding. So that includes having your breast pads, your nipple cream, like I said, and also proper breastfeeding attire. Trust me, you do not want to be wearing a regular bra or a shirt that's kind of hard for you to move out the way whenever it's time for you to breastfeed. You definitely, I would say, you know, a lot of people think, oh, they don't need the maternity bras or they don't need like the maternity tank tops and stuff. When I tell you it makes life so much easier when you're breastfeeding, it really, really does help. So I would definitely recommend to you, you know, getting those breastfeeding friendly shirts. They have the tank tops that you can just unlatch. But definitely get yourself some breastfeeding bras because you don't want to be trying to like lift up your underwire bra and all this stuff whenever you're trying to feed your baby. And also that'll just clog up some of your, what do you call it, your milk ducts. Yeah, it'll clog your milk ducts if you have too much pressure coming from like the wire or something, even pressing anywhere on your breast. Trust me, I found this out the hard way, and that will cause you to become engorged, and that is one of the worst feelings you can have with breastfeeding, is being engorged. It is so uncomfortable, you don't even want to know. So definitely try your best to avoid that situation and just get yourself a nice comfortable breastfeeding bra or nursing bra. What am I calling it? Breastfeeding bra. Now another thing that a lot of women struggle with breastfeeding is working and trying to nurse your child at the same time. I did it with my daughter. This time around I've been home with my son since having him, but with my daughter I did return back to work after having her, so I did have to balance breastfeeding and working, which included pumping. So that was very important for me, was to try to keep up my milk production. Now, I would say it's very important to find out if you are planning to continue breastfeeding and nursing after you have your child and you go back to work. It's important to find out your company's policy on breastfeeding mothers. A lot of companies sometimes have certain leeways and stuff like that for moms who are breastfeeding and need to take a few minutes out of their work day to pump. Now, I had 2 different jobs whenever I had my daughter. Well, the first few months of her life I had one job, and then the remainder I had another job. The first job I had was very, very supportive of breastfeeding moms. Dude, don't break my mirror. They were very supportive of breastfeeding mothers. And they even had little rooms over by the restrooms, separate from the restrooms, that were just for moms that needed to sit down and pump. And so that was really awesome. I really enjoyed having that there for me, you know, not having to go sit in my car or, you know, something crazy. You were able to, it was nice and comfortable on the inside. They had a little desk area. You just plug in your pump and you sit there, relax, and you pump your milk for your child. So that was really awesome. Now the second job I had, they weren't so concerned with that, and it sucked, but that's what it was. So it's like I really had to kind of just make my own time to try to pump for my daughter, but then it turned into I really didn't have any time to go and pump for her, and that caused me to having to supplement more, because that of course slowed down my milk production, and I wasn't producing as much to keep up with her appetite. So I just had to start supplementing with formula, and that's just what it was. And unfortunately that happens sometimes, but like I said, if you have a company that is in support of breastfeeding and has the proper resources there where you can sit down and pump and do what you have to do to keep up your milk production, that is awesome. Definitely just do your research and see what your employer has that is beneficial to breastfeeding moms. Now, it's very important if you are pumping to definitely make the most of your pumping session. From what I've read, experts say that it's good to pump each breast for at least a minimum of 15 minutes each. They say that's like the best way to make sure that you're getting your breast stimulated and your milk production, you know, stays up to par and you produce what you need to produce. So there are many tips. I know for me, like if I just have like really vivid thoughts of my children, you know, or whichever one that was, you know, like with my son now, if I like have like really deep thoughts about him actually eating, like if I have a flashback to like feeding him, it's weird. It's like I feel my breast, I feel the milk ducts, you know, push the milk out. That's such a weird description, but I feel, you know how you well, if you haven't breastfed before, you can feel your milk like filling up in your chest, like you can actually feel it in your boobs, and if it starts to come out, you can feel that too. Like it's there, it's all the action, you feel all of it. So when pumping, it's really, if you you know, if you have like a favorite song that you sing to your child, if you hum that while you're pumping, or if you have one of your child's like blankets or an item of theirs that just reminds you of them, that will help to stimulate you while you're pumping, that is one of the best things you can do, because it will help you produce more milk during your pumping session. Now, another thing that I kind of mentioned before was the fact that I had to supplement with my daughter. Luckily with my son, I have not had that issue, but like I said, I've been home with him, so I've been able to pretty much keep up a feeding schedule with him, feed him whenever he wants to eat, and I haven't had any real issues with not being able to provide him with enough milk just for me. So yeah, so I ended up going to a job that wasn't so supportive in supporting breastfeeding moms. So I did have to end up supplementing with formula for my daughter, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you can just give them whatever amount of breast milk you can provide to your child, that is more than enough. It doesn't have to be 100%. If it is 100%, that's always great, but if not, it's okay. So just, you know, find which formula works for your child. Some kids will end up having allergies to certain things and certain formulas. Some kids have colic, some kids have acid reflux, like different things going on, and there are different formulas out there which can cater to your child's needs. So just go ahead and do your research, experiment, find which one is going to work best for your child, and which one their body responds to the best, and go with that, and it should work out for you. But there's nothing wrong with supplementing. It's a-okay. Another thing that you might hear people mention a lot is nipple confusion whenever it comes to offering your child the bottle. Now for me, I didn't have an issue with offering my daughter the bottle at all. For some reason, I forgot what the reason was, she actually ended up having a bottle when she was maybe around like 3 or 4 weeks old. I forgot exactly what it was. I pumped, but it was breast milk, but she did have to take it from a bottle. And I was a little nervous because I kept hearing about the whole nipple confusion thing, and I was nervous that she wouldn't want to latch back on to actually breastfeed. But I didn't have an issue with it. She took the bottle, she took the boob. It was like no issue with her whatsoever. She was comfortable with both, and I think it just varies by child, but most doctors, pediatricians don't recommend giving a breastfed child a bottle until they're around 3 months or something like that, or 6 weeks. I don't know what it is. It's something like that. It's a nice stretch of time. They prefer you not to give a child a bottle because they just don't want them to reject your boob and just want the bottle, because it actually takes them a lot more work to breastfeed straight from the nipple, your own nipple, than it does for them to breastfeed from a bottle. Nowadays, with technology and all these amazing things that are happening, you know, you have the option to find some really great bottles that stimulate the child nursing from a real nipple. So there's certain things that they do to the bottles, which you can do your research and find some of the best ones, but it does create a breastfeeding experience for the child, even though they are just using a bottle and not nursing from you. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Now this kid here, which some of you might experience, was definitely a different ball game when it came to giving him the bottle. Like I said, I was home with him, so it was always me just nursing him straight from the boob. And whenever it came time for me to step away one day and we tried to get him a bottle, it was not working. Whenever I tell you, we had to manhunt down some sort of bottle. We ended up finding one by Lancino, which is their I forgot what it is, their mama bottle or whatever, but it's one of the bottles that they you know, have for nursing babies. But like, it took maybe like 4 or 5 months to get a bottle that he was like comfortable with. Besides that, he would literally just not drink the bottle. Like, he would, like, no joke. Like, I just remember being like so nervous because I actually, after having him, 6 weeks after having him, I went and had a tubal ligation, so I got my tubes tied. So yeah, like during that, I was so nervous about that surgery because I was just like, I knew that he would not take a bottle. And we brought one just in case my husband, you know, had it, tried to feed him. He refused like the whole time I was in surgery. I think I forgot how long the procedure was, maybe like 2 or 3 hours or something like that, but this little boy refused. And I remember going in, I had to ask the doctor, hey, calm down. I had to ask the doctor, you know, I told him the situation with him in the bottle, and I'm like, you know, well, how soon will I be able to feed him, you know, after the surgery? And they told me, you know, I'd be able to feed him immediately after. And like literally immediately after, as soon as they rolled me back into the room, my husband just like came in like, here, feed him please, because he did not take that bottle. He didn't do it. So I'm like in pain, stomach like in so much pain, trying to hold him and feed him right after my surgery because he didn't want to take a bottle. So yeah, it was quite an experience getting him to take a bottle, but he eventually did. Now, I mean, even now he doesn't really use it that much because I don't know, like I'm at home with him, so it's just easier for me to just unsnap my shirt, put him on a boob, let him eat, you know, than to pump and, you know, be trying to fix bottles and stuff like that. But you have some women who just strictly pump and they don't actually nurse from the boob, and I mean, that's okay too. I really don't like pumping, and I don't like going to prepare bottles and having to warm up the bottle and all this stuff like that. So I just like popping them on the boob and leaving it at that. And so that you know, that works for me. And as far as my plan with breastfeeding him, I want to at least breastfeed him until he's a year old. So, and I think he's hungry right now because he's like clawing at my shirt and everything, as you guys can see. And that's another thing. You can either have your baby on a feeding schedule when it comes to breastfeeding and with the bottle, or you can just wait until they cue to you that they're ready to eat, which usually involves them pulling and yanking on your shirt. Whenever they're younger, as infants, they'll probably like smack a lot on their hands, or you'll see them smacking with their mouth. But they will indicate to you whenever they're hungry and whenever they're ready to eat, so don't worry about that. So I know we all hear all these things about all these studies that talk about, you know, how great breastfeeding is for your child. And that is, I mean, it's true. It's all 100% true. You know, if you guys don't know much about it, basically the benefits that come from breastfeeding is you are literally passing down all your immunity, all your antibodies that you have built up as an adult down to your baby. Now, formula fed babies don't get that because they are drinking formula, so they're not getting the natural antibodies that the human body produces to fight off you know, viruses and pathogens, things like that. So when you breastfeed, you are literally passing that into your child's system, so that basically helps to lessen their chances of getting sick, so any type of cold, fevers, ear infections, things like that. And I definitely noticed that with my kids. They I mean, the older my daughter got, she didn't really get sick until she was like, you know, after I stopped breastfeeding her. But prior to that, just her as a baby, she was like never sick. This one, he's been sick once. I think he got sick like last month. I mean, it just helps. It really does. I do think it does make a big difference in the health of your child because you are passing that down to them. Now, as far as brain development, they say like it helps. They feel like breastfed babies end up being more intelligent and all this stuff like that. And I don't really know if that's so true. They say studies prove it, but you know, that's up to you to do your research and find out, or whatever the case may be. But the point I'm trying to make with all that said is basically that, you know, if I feel like sometimes women who choose not to breastfeed are like shamed by it. I do feel like if you can breastfeed, you definitely should. I just feel like if you have no reason not to breastfeed, then you should breastfeed. But there are some women out there with legitimate reasons why they can't breastfeed, you know, and that I completely 100% understand. But I do feel like if you're able to pass this, you know, very special gift down to your child and provide them with this incredible nourishment, you definitely should. I don't see why, you know, some women are kind of lazy about it. I'm just gonna say it, they're lazy about it. And, you know, they just say, oh, it's too much work, or, oh, it's too painful, or whatever. You know, I'm like, you just gave birth. Like, nothing should be more painful than that, okay? Because I gave birth to this one here with no meds. So, I mean, breastfeeding should be like a walk in the park after giving birth. So don't, if you can, please breastfeed your child. But if you have a legitimate reason why you can't, there is nothing wrong with that. So, you know, don't feel bad if for some reason you can't breastfeed your child. And ladies that do breastfeed, like, don't be walking around like you just the high and mighty and, you know, you look down on formula fed babies. Like, that's not cool. So, you know, don't beat yourself up if, you know, for some reason you just can't breastfeed your child. If it's a work schedule, you know, your job's not supportive of time management with you trying to pump and, you know, do your job and all that stuff like that, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it, really. But if you can breastfeed, you need to breastfeed your baby, okay? Don't deprive them of all this good stuff that you have in your body that you can give to them to help them develop. And last but not least, I do just want to say, I know it's been like another big topic lately about public breastfeeding and not being ashamed to breastfeed your child. Like, it's just kind of like upon these recent decades that it's just become like such a taboo or something to breastfeed your child in public, which I think is crazy. You know, back in the day, women would just whip it out like, you need to feed your child. I'm gonna feed my baby. And I just think it's so sad now that society, you know, makes it a woman feel bad or ashamed, you know, or scared to feed her child whenever she's out in public. I personally don't give a crap. I will whip out a boob and feed my baby. I don't care. But, you know, like, some people just make it seem like they just are so uncomfortable with it, and I just don't get it. You know, they're like, oh, there's children there and stuff like that. And I'm like, most of these kids are probably breastfed too. So it's like, what are you, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I have a real issue with it, you know, and I just feel like you should be 100, if you do choose to breastfeed your child, you should feel 100% confident and okay with breastfeeding wherever the heck that you are. Don't let other people make you feel bad about needing to feed your child. Like, would you go eat your meal in the bathroom? No. And now I look back on it, you know, I used to go sit in the bathroom on a toilet and feed my daughter, and it's like, what the heck? Like, that's no way someone should feel, you know, they have to go do to feed their child. And I would never ever do that again. Luckily, a lot of places now are putting in breastfeeding areas for moms that need to breastfeed, which I think is really great. And I think that all places need to consider this, because breastfeeding is really just like, all the hospitals now, everybody's really getting on board with breastfeeding and, you know, just giving the best possible nourishment to your child, you know. And I'm so glad that everyone is starting to encourage this. A lot of hospitals are taking you know, they're not coming around, you know, handing out formula and all this stuff like that in the hospitals anymore. Unless, like I said, for some reason you aren't able to breastfeed and your child needs to eat, there's no other option. But I just love that everyone is just really getting behind this breastfeeding movement and just encouraging women to, you know, do the best thing that they can for their child. So, you know, don't be ashamed about breastfeeding. I just, you know, if you do feel a little, you know, you want to cover up a little bit, you want to be a little more modest, they have all types of super cute, you know, covers you can put on to cover yourself while you're feeding your child. But you know, just don't be ashamed. Feed your baby. Don't go hiding in the bathroom. You're not going. Who wants to eat in a nasty public bathroom? Not you and not your baby. So don't do it. It's just, ugh. And I can't believe I did that at one point. But I've never done that with my son, because I'm just like, you know those commercials where you see on TV, that one commercial, it's like the first baby and the mom's like all trying to like cover up herself while she's breastfeeding. She's all nervous, and like the second baby, she just like has him sitting there and she's like, hey, I'm right here. You know, I love that commercial, because I just feel like, oh my gosh, that's so me. Like, the second time around with my son, I'm like, look, I gotta feed my baby. I don't care. So feed your baby. Don't be ashamed of it. But that was a really long rant. That's been like the most irritating thing to me. I'm sorry guys, he keeps dropping this thing. But that's been so bothering me every time I see something about this whole breastfeeding in public debate. It's so irritating, and I feel like it needs to stop. Women should not be shamed for breastfeeding their babies in public. So that is it, you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I know it's a little different from, you know, my beauty videos here on this channel, but I hope to incorporate more of these here on my channel for you guys if you're interested. I hope that I was able to cover, well, I was able to cover most of the points that came to my mind. I made little notes and jotted them down. But if there's anything else that, any questions or comments that you would like to make, just go ahead and leave them down below in the comment area, of course. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, if you're interested in it, like I said, I'll be doing more of these with my beauty videos as usual. Go ahead and subscribe. And yeah, I thank you guys all so much for watching and tuning into my channel. If you guys like this video, definitely let me know. And if you want any more videos, like maybe if you guys want a video on my experience with the tubal ligation, if you guys want a labor and delivery story video, I don't know, any stuff like that, potty training, whatever. It's a bunch of topics I would love to talk about. So just let me know if you guys are interested in any of that. And so yeah, so this little boy actually needs to be fed right now, so I'm gonna go feed him because he's hungry. But thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.